Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about Mevo Plus. We're going to go over some questions that have been sent in. It's been 3 months. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Scott Ogan coming at you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to go over the Mevo Plus. It's been 3 months. Let's talk a little bit about the experience with it and answer a question that was sent in, and a question I get quite frequently, honestly, about it, and so we can help you make a better decision on your purchases going forward. All right, so let's start getting into it. Is this Mevo Plus reliable? That's the question that I got sent to me, asking, based on seeing some reports of battery issues, is this a unit that you can depend on, and is it working for you? So when I think of reliability, I think of three things. One, does it work? Is the unit physically going to turn on? Is it going to work? Is it going to connect? All those types of things. Two, how good does it read shots? Is it going to have a struggle to read golf shots where somebody that's using it might not be able to get data? Or is it picking up shots consistently, getting good data, all of that? The third thing is going to be, is it something that you can use to get better? So are the shots actually doing what they're supposed to be doing, or are the shots kind of weird and crazy? Those types of things are what I think of when we go with reliability. So let's break those down a little. All right, let's talk about one of the easy ones first. Let's talk about, is this something you can use to get better? Absolutely. The ability to be able to play on course, have a realistic on-course experience. If you hit a shot, you'll see in a couple upcoming videos where we play on course, you're going to see, hey, I feel like I do this and the ball does it. That's what we want. You want that feedback, and that's how you get better, having appropriate feedback from the unit. So I think absolutely you can get better. If you use the test center, you can dial in yardages. I think all of that is reliable. So yes, can you get better? Yes. Now the second part of that is, does it pick up shots? Now you got to know, I come from the SkyTrack world. When I first saw these coming out, I was super excited. My SkyTrack, I had a lot of issues with getting the ball to read. There would be days where it just would not read. I would have people hit shots, the dot would disappear, and then no shot would read. And it would just happen randomly, and it drove me nuts because I never could figure it out. And then I would leave for the day, I'd come back the next day, and then it just worked fine. And there was no rhyme or reason. Tried a bunch of different orientations, how you had it plugged in. Tried different connections. It just would not pick up. And so we did have to send the unit to SkyTrack a couple of times, and that was always frustrating because then you're without a unit. Now, this, I've not had that issue. It will pick up. Again, as long as you have the necessary ball flight or close to it. I've even tried at 7 feet of ball flight and it will read, although I like it better at 8. I think you're going to get better numbers just the more flight you can get. It's a radar unit. The more flight you give it, the better. Okay, so I think it's something that I really rely on it. When I know it's connected, it works. I can tell what's going on with the indicator lights to know if it's armed, if it's really working or not. I think it's really reliable for that standpoint. You get a no read once in a while, but that's very rare, and it's usually because of where the golf ball is placed in front of the unit. That is one thing I think when you go through this, is you do have to get the ball and get used to getting it right in front of the unit, because this isn't as big. Like when I had an X2, that's a much wider unit. You felt like you had a little bit more room to place the ball and get it to read. You just got to be careful with that, but that's why you have this camera on here to help you align and know exactly where you should be hitting from and where you should be hitting to, and you don't have any issues if you do that. Now the third part of this is, does it work and is it reliable? Now, again, we just talked about it. I was one of the people that had one of the first units, the first 2 units that came out. They had 150, and I had 2 of those first 150 that they had produced and brought to the PGA show. Now, when you first got the units, there was not a ton of information that came in the box. I've seen newer boxes where they include information about the power cord. If you're not familiar with that, we'll go over that in a sec, but you're gonna see information about what's going on. There was not all the lighting configurations listed, so when you're looking at the unit and you're seeing some lights come up and it wasn't listed at the time, you didn't know what was going on with the unit. I also think there was a little bit of a rush to get the unit out out. So not everybody at Flightscope was 100% sure what was going on with the unit and how they should convey that information to people. So I know for me, I've been with Flightscope trying to help them out, and they've been helping me out with some of the issues. I had a couple units that we were testing and trying to figure out some data, because there was an issue where people were plugging in, not using the little cord that comes with it. And what would happen is you would fry out one of the startup circuits and the unit wouldn't power on correctly. It would just cycle through its startup and it would never get to a point where it was ready to take shots. So that was a frustrating thing that people were going through. I had it happen to a unit of mine, and what it ended up being, I was recommended a longer cord to try to plug into a wall, and that cord ended up not being the right cord. And it ends up being that you just need to use the little cord that comes with the unit. It's proprietary to the unit. It's not a micro USB cord, even though the port looks like a micro USB port and the cord looks like a regular micro USB port. It's just not, so you have to use that cord. Now doing that, no issues. Now knowing that every issue we've had, we thought it was first was the power button, but we thought maybe it was overheating. We thought it was some temperature issues. We thought it was the building I was in. We had that tested out. Turns out it was that cord that was recommended at first. That cord can't be used, and it just comes down to the fact that you have to use the supply cord, just like they recommend you do with pretty much every device that you get. So just make sure you do that. I have not had any issues. It's been about 2 months since we've used that cord and gone through the testing with Flightscope. I've had zero issues. And the one thing that's good too is if you did have issues, they've been good about replacing the units and taking care of their customers. So I've never really worried about that, because I know what they stand for and they were really good about it. But again, my favorite way to use the unit, using the little cord, I use a power bank. That's my preferred way. You can use an extension cord and plug that into a wall, but I like the power bank. It's such a clean look. It's no cords. Everything's just right there with the unit. It lasts me about 6 hours of consistent E6 Connect play before I need a new power bank. It's fantastic. I love that, and I wouldn't change it for anything. One thing I'll say about when you're using the unit that people ask me about is you will get these indicator lights that pop up. There's 4 yellows. So in this clip, you'll see I turned on the unit. It's in my garage. The garage was cold, so the unit is too cold to charge. It's not in the temperature range for the battery for it to safely charge. So you're going to see these indicator lights. Again, at first, I was told these lights were bad. Don't play when these lights come on, but they came on all the time. And then they especially come on when you're using E6 Connect. If you're using Flightscope Golf, they don't come on very much, but E6 Connect, they were coming on a lot, and I was told don't play when those lights come on. Turns out it's all good. What it means is the unit is not charging. It's basically just like an indicator saying, hey, you have your unit plugged in. If you're expecting it to have more battery after you're done and you've taken it off the plug, that's not going to happen. So I actually kind of appreciate that now. At first I was thinking, wait, what's going on with the unit? Why is it overheating, or why is it not doing anything? Why is it cold? All of that stuff. Again, it took a while for that information to come to me after many, many phone calls. But then after talking with the team in South Africa, they said, nope, play right through it. I've done that. No issues whatsoever. Turns out, again, as long as you're using the cord that comes with it, you're good. You're going to be in good shape. So no problems there. And again, I've used it now 2 months, pretty much every day. Starts up, no problems. Connects to the iPad, no problem on the Wi-Fi. And actually a very enjoyable experience so far going with it. And again, no issues going into my busy time using it for my coaching business. So that's been my experience with it and how it's gone. Now, with that said, I know there are some people that had some issues. It's not saying there were issues early on. I just want to reiterate that. But it was something, I think, as Flightscope was learning what they had as well, and across their team, just trying to get the information out to everybody and how that information was sent to everybody. I think that was just the big issue. And then being able to use that specific cord and letting people know, I think that's something, if they could go back and do it, right on those first units, they should have had that part in there. I went back and looked at my instruction manual. That first iteration of the manual, it did not have anything about the cord in there. Mine just didn't. I know online that's been updated, and then future books have been updated. It didn't even have all the indicator lights in the instruction book that you could have. So I think they just made that change. Going forward now, I think it's looking good. It's just one of those things. It would have been nice to have that communication earlier. That would have made this go a little smoother for some people and not having to trade out some units. But again, credit to Flightscope. They owned up to it. They have traded out. I've heard really good things about them sending people units. It's unfortunate that this happens to be in tough times where shipping is delayed and all that. That makes this feel a little bit more painful, but Flightscope, I think, has done what they need to do as far as a company, making sure they're taking care of customers. I know for me, I have no complaints about how they're taking care of me when I had the issue, and I would not hesitate again about having the units. So yeah, so that would be the final question that I always get is, would you do it again? Had them for 3 months now, and 1,000% yes. This is one of the best products I've had for my coaching business. Being able to play on course, being able to map yardages, being able to just have some fun challenges with the Skills app. Works great. It's phenomenal. It's a great tool for my students. Yeah, were we not getting some of the club numbers? Sure, but we don't need that all the time. We like to do a lot of work with learning our games, learning how to control yardages, learning how to control trajectories. Can do that all day. And I love to play golf a lot with my students. And hey, I like to play as well. So it's worked fantastic for that. And plus the mobility of the unit is so cool. It's awesome. I've played it in my backyard during these quarantines. Works awesome. Just such a cool thing to be able to do and be able to play and enjoy golf when you're in some really unique times. I've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for the question that was sent in. Again, is it reliable? I think so. I have no issues going forward. We using the unit. Was there some slow starts, I think, for the unit? I think yes, and I think that happens with a lot of products. That's just one of the things when you're getting into tech and they send out a new product. I see that a lot in other areas of technology, but again, something you would have liked to run a little smoother, but I think it's on track now. And if we weren't into this issue with the global pandemic and shipping and all of that stuff, I think we'd actually be seeing a lot of really smooth and good things going on, because right now it's just hard to get units to people because of everything going on. But other than that, that's something that's kind of out of our control, and I think out of Flightscope's control. So I can't really hold them too much at fault for that. But yeah, I think it's a great unit, and it's something I would continue using. I will continue to use for as long as I can. All right, so thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully this helps you with the decision about Flightscope Mevo. Make sure you check out some of our other videos about the Mevo Plus, how I'm using it. We'll have more videos about some best practices coming up, some stuff that's come up about the high spin driver, how does that work, some chipping things, how does the chipping work, and how have I found that you hit your best chip shots. So don't miss out on those. Click that subscribe button. Again, hope everybody is healthy, safe out there, and we look forward to being out on the golf course hopefully sooner rather than later. Be safe, everybody. Take care, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.